And the winner of this has a pretty decent chance of potentially going into top 16 as well. Dizdemon has one of the best tiebreakers out of all the 5-3s out there. While Gallon has middling, so it'll depend. Swiss, you can never really truly count yourself out until the last rounds have been played. But it's very difficult for Gallon to make the top 16 versus I think Dizdemon, for him, it's almost a guarantee if he wins. Almost.
Looks like he's already off to a good start. I believe Dizdemon got a win with his Warlock into Paladin. If I'm looking at deck list here.
Gallon firmly believes that Odd Paladin is the best deck in the game, or very close to it. He just feels like there's just very few bad matchups for it. Good, very good, even in unfavorable matchups. Like people think Warlock, for example, is a very good counter, or you know, even Odd Warrior, and they're like, it's not necessarily that bad if you just like play correctly and you're a little bit unfavored, sure, but Odd Paladin has so much range. They can play slow if needed.
I would have to agree with Gallon on that. I think what it is that Odd Paladin has such a consistent game plan that it will not whiff, right? Like when you play Odd Paladin, you will have 2 1-1s on 2 every game, or you will most likely have a 1-drop every game. For a control deck like even Warlock, that is technically favored, sometimes it has to see Defile. Well, Defile is only 2 copies of that card in your deck. If you just don't draw Defile, well, how are you going to clear their board and they're just going to run away with the game?
Right.
So it's more consistent that Odd Paladin does what it does rather than a unfavorable matchup for the Odd Paladin being able to clear it.
Yeah, or even more, Odd Paladin has the best 2-drop in the game, which is like kind of counterintuitive, but people talk about 2-mana minions, and the reason why I say that and not Prince Keleseth is because you have it guaranteed every single game just through your hero power. And there is a severe lack of meaningful things to do on turn 2 these days, which is why Odd Paladin has a great turn 1 because it has so many 1-drops, a great turn 2, and a great turn 3 because it has so many 1-drops and 3-drops and a good hero power.
All right, Dan, I got to stop you real quick. Look at this right here. So these minions, if he leaves up the Silver-Hand Recruits, which I'm sure Gallon's going to do because he saved the weapon hit, he's going to be able to level up to make all of them 3/4s on the next turn, and there's not a single thing Dizdemon can do about it. That's juicy.
I think that's a little bit more than juicy. I think that might be
what
over.
adjective would you use to describe this right now, Dan?
I would go with the tried and true adjective that every streamer and content creator goes with, something that they mildly get annoyed by. Disgusting. That is disgusting.
I have a burgeoning interest in this.
It blows my mind that just like that's the only adjective that for like 6 months anyone can describe any card ever in Hearthstone. You know, that's just disgusting. Oh, it's so.
I'm gonna go with
disgusting.
groovy. Ew. Sick.
It is extremely powerful to set up, but I think it's a really good spot by Gallon, given that Dizdemon didn't immediately Lightning Storm a bunch of 2-1s.
And had to coin out a Serenite Chain to contest the 2-1s. Exactly.
So now Dizdemon's in a position where he has to lay in the bed that he made. He chose to commit his mana into the Serenite Chain Gang to stop the damage. Now he's going to have to live with the consequences.
See, I'm not even sure about that bump either. If you do the bump, you allow the Righteous Protector to then clear off the Serenite Chain Gang, whereas if you leave it up, you may force them to either value trade, which would reduce the damage on board for a Volcano, or make them put the Void Ripper in.
Yeah. Thing is, though, even though we're like, yeah, it's great that Volcano doesn't clear the board, it still does a lot of clearing. It's not like Odd Paladin gets away for free. Volcano will clear off most of this.
1 minion will live, though. I believe it is exactly 16 health.
It's a 16 health.
Oh boy. There's something like a Leroy.
Leroy is it? Quarter Creeper is a pretty good reload, though.
Oh, especially with that Divine Favor.
Ooh, the Divine Favor to draw 5 cards? Meow!
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Gallon just goes for a Hero Power Boisterous Bard instead of the Divine Favor.
Yeah?
Just to put more pressure on the board.
It might be important to do something like that, so that way you can get Vine Cleaver just to get the extra damage over the hump. Oh, wow, he wants Divine Fader first.
Maybe trying to find a Blessing of Might in order to get that 1 extra damage. Maybe an Arceus Veteran. Or maybe just another 1-drop to fit with the Hero Power. Doesn't necessarily need to play the Boisterous Bard.
That's interesting.
Because if he plays Boisterous Bard, it's going to die to the Lightning Storm anyways.
Right.
So you might as well hold on to
No,
it and
that
fish
makes
for a
sense.
1-drop. So I like what Gallon did there.
That makes sense.
Well,
I don't know, man. For me, it's just always tempting to get that extra card. But as
it
you can
is.
see from the double Vine Cleaver, Gallon is not going to be hurting for cards to play. You know, he's going to have his mana fill or mana spent every single turn.
And right now, Dizdemon's best play is to gain 12 and say go.
Gain 12, maybe a
Maybe a little
Earth
Glacial Shard
Shock or
too.
Glacial Shard.
Oh, it just feels so bad. I guess it has to be the Earth Shock because the Glacial Shard just gets traded into too easily by one of the 1/1s.
People talk about level up and how losing level up in the rotation is going to be really painful for Odd Paladin, but I want to tell you something about Vine Cleaver. 7 mana, deal 12 damage, and summon 6 1/1 Silverhand recruits.
Dan, I was talking to Admiral about this earlier. I don't think there's any situation Vine Cleaver couldn't get me out of. I mean, I was telling Admirable earlier, I said, if you're going through the jungle and you've got that Vine Cleaver, you are getting through that jungle.
I mean, when Ungoro first released, I was casting a tournament with Admirable for the Red Bull esports team, and he was telling me his favorite card was Vine Cleaver, and I'm like, dude, we just got like ridiculous amount of cool quests.
Your favorite is Vine
At least a
Cleaver?
Trailblazer, you know, just like some really fun stuff, like legendaries and other really weird epics. Like, you know, everyone wants the Ungoro pack. And he was like, no, my favorite card is Vine Cleaver. And I had no idea. This is all on record, so people can go back and verify if he actually said it, which he did. And it was the strangest things. And fast forward a year and a half later, he was right.
Yes, look at the past
Like,
couple
it's an
sets.
awesome card.
It is a very awesome card. Looking at the past couple sets, a couple of my favorite cards have just been, you know, the ones that are just, I don't know, I just kind of like them. Like Mossy Horror for Witchwood.
Yeah.
For Boomsday, it was Dynamatic.
Dynamatic is a cool card.
I like Dynamatic.
It's not like, it's a pretty flashy card, to be honest. It just chucks 5 bombs at people. Nice second Glacial Shard here. Pretty big pickup for Dizdemon.
Oh, the level up's going to end this game
Yeah.
as quick as it started.
It's not going to matter.
And Tinkmaster makes an appearance.
Gallon also has the King Mukla, right, in his deck list. He is a Mukla
Yes,
gamer.
he is the 3-mana tech man. You need a 3-mana tech card in your odd deck, you go to Gallon.
Yeah.
But just looking at a card on the board that shouldn't be there. You ever see?
No, but I know a Pikachu gift that could probably do the same
I know,
thing.
right? You ever, you ever see? You ever play that game where you look at 2 pictures and one of them has something missing or one of them has something wrong in it than the other one? That was me when I saw.
Oh,
my
it's like
opponent.
what's off
What's
with this picture?
off with
Yeah,
this
yeah,
picture?
yeah,
What's the
yeah.
difference in these 2 photos?
Yeah.
And one of them was an Odd Paladin with MC Tech on the board, and the other one was just Odd Paladin.
Yeah, I think it was like one of these is not like the other, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's like one of those
You gotta
basic
circle
IQ
the
tests.
differences.
All right, well, Hero Power is pretty much what's available to Gallon here. I don't think you want to spend your coin. He's the one on Shutterwalk Shaman now, going up against Dizdemon's Hunter deck.
This is one of those matchups that traditionally is Hunter favored, but I think as time goes on and players, you know, become more proficient with Shutterwalk Shaman, that the matchup is becoming skewed in a way that, you know, Shutterwalk Shaman actually has like a legitimate chance.
I think so too. I think Shutterwalk Shaman always has a chance. It's something you can never truly count out. Gallon, by the way, choosing not to Hero Power because, well, he has 2 Volcanoes in hand, and adding health to the board could potentially be a disastrous outcome if his own totems contribute to why he can't clear the board.
Yeah, especially when a lot of the totems in this matchup are just kind of dead. The 1/1 can trade off, which isn't that bad. The Taunt Totem gets traded into, but the Spell Damage and Healing Totem both just don't contribute anything immediately. I mean, they both do more damage than they could harm. So it's almost like 50% chance you harm yourself. So there's no real reason to take that risk. So I like Gallon's approach to it.
Yeah. What do you take here? These are just copies of it, so King Crush is just the best individual option.
Yeah, I like the King Crush. Just, you know, just crush them.
Agreed.
You get the 9 mana, you play that card, and it has one destination. And that is to let the Oracle know what's up.
Oh, Farsight means that there's a pretty good option here for Electra to get some value. Good sequencing. seen this. I've seen this happen on ladder several times, where like Electra coined something, or like they did something with Electra, forgetting that it would copy.
Almost like reminiscent of Celestial Emissary as well. You know, when that card first came out.
Yeah,
People
that coin.
Coin Fireball.
Yeah, or like coin unexpected results.
Electra Storm Surge plus Farsight is just such a powerful combination. It's definitely one of my favorite cards to play with Electra Storm Surge. That or the new one, I believe it's Haunting Time. I can't remember the...
Haunted Visions.
Haunted Visions.
Yeah. It's a very interesting card. I think there's a lot of interesting Shaman cards, and I'm surprised that, you know, for the most part, it seems like Shudderwock Shaman and Even Shaman, decks that were good before the Rastakhan's Rumble, still stayed on top because there's so many cool cards that were introduced with Zentimo and Kragwa. I love Spirit of the Frog. I think that card has a lot of potential. And you're looking at some of those cards you were talking about, like Haunted Visions and whatnot. I mean, there's so many interesting Shaman cards, and I hope some of them, as the meta continues to develop, can come out to shine.
I definitely think Shaman got a lot of love from that set. It's also really cool just to see how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
Gallon's thinking about holding on to this Serenite Chain Gang. Maybe
Well,
not to give, you know, we can see that Mossy Horror's in the hand. Maybe he just wants to play around that a little bit. Maybe he just wants to save it for Grumble. Maybe he feels like he has the chance to do that. I think this is one of those matchups where you can't necessarily afford to do that. Or maybe he just wants to time it in a way that he can put it in front of the Katharina turn.
I like keeping it in the back pocket for the Grumble, so that way you can utilize... Oh, but seems like he favors it right now.
I think it's because he knows Katharina comes down on this turn.
Oh, yeah.
And he wants to block the
the
King
big
Crush damage if it comes out.
No, I think that's a really good point then, seeing how this actually panned out.
I think that was very heads up from Gallon there. And look what it did. It soaked up 11 damage. Whereas if he had played it last turn, maybe Mossy Horror comes out, then the King Crush comes out, and there's no way he can answer it.
It's really heads up. I'm very impressed. Can't Hex and Volcano. What we can do is Hex and Lightning Storm.
Could also go for Earthshock Volcano, I believe. That is another potential line of play.
Earthshock Volcano is probably better because it's more consistent, isn't it? All right.
Oh no, I like this a whole lot more. I just think you would want to hit the 3 onto the King Crush. Since he missed it, he still had the Earthshock to follow it up. Whereas sometimes he saves the Earthshock and the Volcano, and you know, Lightning Storm at this stage of the game does not get much value. Volcano, however, will. But King Crush hitting the board.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, you definitely have to kill this. If a King Crush ever lives, you know what happens next.
I was thinking about how greedy you could get, but it's perfect.
You got to be careful. You're playing with fire there, Dan. Have you ever cube played at a King Crush?
Yeah, that would do it.
There is no better feeling in this world. It's like chewing 5 gum.
Yeah, I think this is the proper sequencing too. Just to make sure you can get maximum 5/5s right now this turn and make it difficult for your opponent to clear the board.
One thing is, could also on the next turn go for either another cube play or a Terror Scaled Mossy Horror in order to clear off the eggs. Just to put maximum pressure on the board.
Shudderwock time.
Ooh.
This is the only way you can do to survive. Ooh. That is a big whiff. I mean, is there tracking for lethal? There's 11 damage right now.
I believe Deathstalker Rexar is lethal because you can hero power, then override yourself, and then attack with a handle shot.
Oh, that's so sick!
What a spot from Dizdemon there.
That's a cool play. That is a really cool play.
There we go. What a spot from Dizdemon. That was a glorious spot.
Yeah, people forget about when you play a hero card and override your existing hero, you lose the freeze effect. Really nicely done, and that is going to be game 3 in the books. Dizdemon 1 game away from potentially getting that coveted top 16 spot. Gallon under the gun.
Yeah, Gallon has been on fire recently, so it's going to be, you know, as the Shutterwalk Shaman. And I'm not sure what just happened. Gallon's a little confused, as am I.
Did he?
I think Dizdemon may have accidentally queued up a deck that was already up. It may have been something like that.
Uh-oh, that's awkward. A burgeoning interest in exploring arts and culture.
I love that word, burgeoning interest.
Yeah. Joining Young Friends of Philadelphia is free. philorc.org/youngfriends.
Job done.
We were also sponsored by LaSalle.
LaSalle. So yeah, it's a college. LaSalle U is sponsoring. And it's really cool that local businesses and apparently schools and universities are paying attention to the fact that we get a lot of people out here and there's a lot of money on the line. Life is an adventure, and LaSalle makes you an explorer.
I definitely
Very
wanna
thematic
explore.
3 years ago with
I know,
for Reno and
Exploring Guru. And,
Exploring Guru, I guess. LaSalle missed an opportunity when Reno Jackson
I know, where was
Starchick was introduced. Wow, that's a start.
Yeah, that is an explosive start.
Coin Devil's Oreg into Terror Scale Stalker. Wow, the roles just actually reversed. The other player's playing Hunter, and now Dizdemon's playing Shutterwalk Shaman again. But I think Dizdemon has some of his best tools to handle this pressure. He's got Lightning Storm, Volcano, and Hex available.
The issue is you really want to save that Hex for a larger minion later on.
Yeah.
And you could go for the Storm here, but it's going to give them a 5-5. But looks like Dizdemon's just fine with that. Clears up the rest of the board, gets rid of 8 damage, but gives a 5-5 in the process.
But the 5-5 was there anyways, so it's kind of like clearing off the 0-3 and the 3-3.
It also makes any other Death Battle enablers useless. So, for instance, if a Play Dead were to come out.
Gallon sporting that awesome cupcake card back.
Oh,
It's
the
definitely tier 1.
Yeah, the Cupcake card back is honestly one of the best card
tier
backs
1.
ever.
Golden Celebration obviously is tier 1 too because of how exclusive it is and hard for people to get.
I will say, the funny story about the Cupcake card back, good friend of mine competing in the tournament, Swaggy G, was playing against Gallon, and he said that he hates the Cupcake card back, and he had such an awful time trying to hand track Gallon because he had to constantly look at it.
Because of how cute and adorable it was?
Because I think it's the best card back ever. I do agree with
So
you.
why does he hate it?
Because
how
he just...
distracting it is.
That makes sense.
Because it's delicious.
I agree with that.
All right, well, Houndmaster Shaw, maximum tempo, maximum pressure from Gallon. He is not wasting any seconds. Cutting straight to the chase. Dizdemon, what's he going to do? Does the Volcano clear off this? There's 7 plus 5 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So
Because
that's
of
18.
the hero powers, he actually cannot clear this off.
It's 18 life on the board, so he has to rely on a Serenite Chain Gang. In which case, Spider Bomb here has some pretty big opportunities. Witcher Grizzly's not that bad of a pickup either.
It does actually clear up one of the chain gangs because it's buffed by Kaliseth.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You know the craziest thing about this is Dizdemon went for a pseudo-different approach that Gallon did. We saw Gallon not hero power at all, but we've seen Dizdemon hero power quite a bit. And I think because of that, the Volcano didn't work out the way he wanted it to.
Yeah.
That may come back to bite him.
Yep, 19 health on the board. Nothing of substance besides mind control tech. If it steals Houndmaster Shaw.
Even Grizzly.
No.
Because Grizzly, you technically could
option.
Healing Rain and put it back up to, you know, an insane life total.
Oh, you're right. Only 7, because it caps out. It's like a buff. It's not a buff. It's
Oh,
yeah.
you're right. I completely forgot.
It's like an enchantment of some sort. I don't know the exact term. Maybe aura.
Oh, here comes another
funny.
MC tech.
Not nearly as fun, but still pretty cool. And now, because of Spider Bomb and Play Dead, you can almost guarantee that a big minion will die because of Kelseth attacking into it. And then you can wrap it up with a powerful Devastator and King Crush combo.
The Devil's Sword and King Crush is one of the truest combos of Hearthstone.
It's a true combo. Gallon's hesitating.
Yeah, I wonder what he's considering here. Maybe trying to rush the Spider Bomb into something. Maybe rush it
Is
into the 0-2 and then play dead it.
I'm thinking about, you know, Hagatha and like how does that play in effect, but I think this is just perfectly fine as it is.
I like how much aggression, you know, Gallon's put into this game.
Well, one thing that is pretty telling is that he's not really taking his time. Besides for this turn, he felt like he was playing relatively fast. And also, based off his expression, you can tell that he was fairly intense, you know, based off what was going on. Like, Dizdemon could see, he's like, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on? I really want to know, like, did something bad happen? You know, that kind of stuff. So, he could be a little bit on edge right now.
I think there is 16 damage on the board.
And I believe Gallon most likely traded to protect his minion in case his opponent had additional AoE through Hagatha.
Yeah, I feel like you might as well put the MC Tech in, just because, you know, Shaw did give it that rush, and there's no real reason to, you know, kind of let it preserve the minion.
Right.
Especially because, you know, maybe it makes a Lightning Storm better if the spell damage power gets played.
Sure. Storm Surge, Electric Storm Surge, and Volcano clears the board.
It does, but
it's
I feel like at that
costly.
point you might as well just cast one Volcano and play Mana Tide. Because you're only dealing 1 extra damage with this Volcano.
Ugh.
Whereas you could have done it and then maybe a 2-1 lived or a 0-1 lived.
Yep. There was 16 health on the board. And you're absolutely right, Dr. J. It's effectively only dealing 1 extra damage.
So maybe you just let that 2 damage be taken. I will say, though, however, with the Electric Storm Surge committed, it did mean that if, you know, 2 damage were taken over 2 turns, Dizdemon would be dead. So I think Dizdemon may have been accounting for that.
Man, I still can't get... Oh, wow, nice draw, by the way. I still can't get over the fact that, you know, the main card that... the legendary that's being played the most out of all the classic set is King Crush. It's still so funny to me. It's more played than like Blood Mage Thanos and Tyrion. I guess so.
Malygos.
Malygos is only really for Malygos Druid.
That's true.
Same thing with Alex Strada. But King Crush, in terms of its play rate, is higher, right?
I would assume so, because I would say that every hunter, that's a very important draw there, by the way.
Yeah, that Life Drinker is really important.
That's going to keep Dizdemon in the game, whereas otherwise he wouldn't be. I was going to say that I believe... oh, gosh, I completely forgot.
You know what? Let me verify that.
I wonder.
Oh, I was going to say that not every druid is Malygos druid, but majority of hunters are Death Rattle Hunter. All right, Dan's currently doing the math. He's calculating the numbers,
King
crunching
Crush is
them.
in 3.94% of decks. And then what's your other? Alex Straza?
Malygos.
Oh, it's 5. You're right. It's more than Malygos, but less than Alex Straza.
I guess because Alex is more versatile in the fact that it can be played in like a Control Mage, it can be played in Control Warrior.
Yeah. No, you're right.
What is the most played card right now?
In the classic set? Freezing Trap, Explosive Trap, Leroy Jenkins. Oh, Leroy Jenkins. All right. How about all the class
How do we
cards?
forget about the class card?
Out of all the class legendaries, it is more than that. But all right, well, still though, I think it's just cool that King Crush can make an appearance. Zombies, not really going to do much right now. This demon does have the Shutter Walk, but doesn't have the time to pull off the ideal combo.
Is there another Glacial Shard in the pool?
That's a good question.
Because you could go for Grumble, play out the 2 minions, and the Glacial Shard that you draw. You would technically be alive if there's no charge minion built. Whereas if you do a double trade, and then, I mean, I guess maybe Shutterwalk's enough.
Shutterwalk does have the freeze in it, right?
I believe so.
And then if your opponent can't deal with the Shutterwalk copies, you just grumble it back.
But how many Glacial Shards are in the pool? Oh, you do draw one because Sandbinder was played earlier.
Right, yeah. It's the same thing, too.
Oh, this is definitely much better.
Oh, man. And Gallon realizes gets the bad news that just regular tempo shutter walk.
This is going to need to be the beast of a lifetime.
I don't know what it can do.
Direwolf Alpha gives 1 extra damage to the 1/1, but I don't think there's a charge minion big enough.
Yeah, even if you got Blowbat, it'd just be too expensive because you don't have the Valid Brute Skitterer.
Pretty sure this is just game.
Yeah, Gallon's going to try to play it out most likely here because he's technically not dead.
Yeah, just in case there's no Grumble in the hand for Dizdemon, maybe you can mount enough pressure on the side. But we can see that Grumble is awaiting in the mist.
Which tracks to follow?
What was the 2-mana minion taking with the Bear Shark?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a generic minion, like a...
Oh, I also realized that Gallon had a chance for lethal too if he had like a good charge minion.
Yes.
But unable to do so. And this is the game. Dizdemon's going to take it 3-1 and advance to the top 16 bracket, unless I am mistaken with the standings.
No, I think it's looking pretty good for Dizdemon. If I remember correctly, he was one of the
He was one of the
higher
top
ones up.
Yeah, Dizdemon was like 22 at 5-3, but like out of all the 5-3s, he had one.
Right about now, the funk soul brother.